everybody? Welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and happy Super Bowl Sunday. That's why I'm wearing my Eagles fit. Cause if you don't know, I am a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan. So FYI, that's the team I rep. But today I'm not here to talk about that. Today I am here to talk about the MCU. In particular, I am here to give you a top 10. Now, I don't do these lists very often because most of the time, most of this stuff has been done. And, you know, people have already done their top 10s, their list of things of what nature. But I felt like because there's so much negativity around phases 4 and 5 of the MCU, the vibe you get is as if the MCU hasn't done anything or introduced anything good at all in these last two phases. But I'm here to give you my top 10 MCU phases 4 and 5 new characters. New characters that were introduced in phases 4 and 5, and also obviously you can put your favorite character, new character introduced in this phase. But I just felt like it was important to talk about this because there's a lot of issues in the MCU. I'm not sitting here saying that there isn't. I'm not sitting here saying that the phases have been perfect. They have not been. It should have and could have been a lot better. And there's a lot of factors involved in why things haven't turned out as great as it should have. COVID, you know, Kevin Feige being stretched too thin, too much stuff, too much going on. There's a billion reasons. But in the midst of all that, let's not get lost in the sauce and pretend like some great characters haven't been introduced. So starting at number 10, Druid from Eternals. Druid from Eternals, in a movie that is a very heady, high concept movie that is better than people think it is, but not as good as it should have been. I thought Eternals was good, but it should have been this great thing. It should have been this huge triumph. It should have been the movie that Marvel won their first Oscar with, and they could pronounce the show to the world like we could do this kind of thing. It ended up not being that. But in the midst of that, there were some pretty good characters in Eternals. But by far, the one that stuck out the most and the one that people resonated with the most was Druid, the bad boy of the Eternals, so to speak. Druid, and it makes sense because the one who's being played very well by a great actor, and Druid really is the one character in the movie. I mean, other characters did too, but he's the one character in that movie that really embodied the high concept of this is a man who can control people's minds and like force them to do things, and like, why wouldn't he do that? And this is a man who's been bitter. You know what I mean? There's just this interesting layer to Druid. There's this darkness to him, which makes sense because I'm often in the comics, Druid's the bad guy. So Druid from Eternals was definitely an interesting character. Every time he was on screen and he had different interactions with every one of the characters, Druid stood out greatly. At number 9, be pissed off all you want to. There's a reason the show's getting a season 2, She-Hulk. She-Hulk was a vastly fascinating character because that character brought an entirely different vibe to the MCU, namely the fourth wall effect. And not only that, but Jen Walters, the character, is a very relatable character. She's a very interesting character. The dichotomy between her and She-Hulk is very fascinating. The whole lawyer side of her is very fascinating. Everything about her was so interesting. And I enjoyed the She-Hulk show just because you didn't know what you were going to get week to week. And Jen was at the center of that, and I thought her character was fascinating. I thought the dichotomy of that was fascinating. I thought her relationship with Bruce was great. She played the actress and She-Hulk form or not played so well off of everyone, including Charlie Cox. The show did so many things that the MCU doesn't usually do that it ended up sticking out. Her character ended up sticking out. So She-Hulk would be my number 9. At number 8, Red Guardian. It's funny, there's another character from this Black Widow movie on my list, but it's funny that the Black Widow movie gets a lot of shit, but it introduced 2 of the best characters in the MCU, and Red Guardian is a delight. David Harbour playing this jolly Russian dad who just so happens to be strong enough to throw a car. Like, there's something fun about his character. He was so entertaining, the accent, like you have a lot of fun with that character. You can't wait to see him again. He was a big takeaway from that Black Widow movie. He was such a fun character. He's such a great, David Harbour clearly was having fun playing this character, and Red Guardian is definitely one of the best characters in this MCU. Coming in at number 7, we got Mobius, played by the one and only, goddamn, How am I blanking? Owen Wilson. Mobius and Loki. Mobius was such a fun character. It was so fun getting Owen Wilson in the MCU. And while he was doing his Owen Wilson things, him playing off of Loki and him realizing that he isn't the real, like, there was the fun of those characters and the fun of that character in particular and Owen Wilson being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sorry. It was just such a treat. Such a treat. So fascinating. So interesting. And in the end, we ended up getting a character and him playing off of Loki it was just fun. Him playing off of Loki. So Mobius, Owen Wilson's Mobius from Loki comes in at number 7. At number 6, I would probably have to give it to, like, there's a lot of characters. But at number 6, I'd probably have to give it, it was a tie. It's kind of a tie between two characters, but I'm going to go with this character because it's by far more fascinating to go with this character, which is Moon Knight. The Moon Knight character, the Mark Spector character, that it was very fascinating. It was a very interesting thing. It was very unique. The split personality / dissociative disorder thing was such an interesting concept. It was such a fun thing. And with that character and learning the trauma of that character, it was a darker kind of character. It was an interesting character. It was a character that by the end, we all wanted to see more of this character. So yeah, Moon Knight would have to come in at number 6. At number 5, we got Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was such a delight. The character was so fun, such a relatable guy, such a fun guy. The actor has such a great vibe. His action sequences stand out for having that kung fu vibe to them. The movie itself still maybe is one of the best Marvel movies that came out of the Phase 4. So Shang-Chi for sure comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 would have to be John Walker. I think John Walker was an amazing villain. And if Falcon and the Winter Soldier revolved around him entirely, maybe the show would have ended up being even better than what it was. But John Walker was such a fascinating villain. It was sort of this interesting parallel universe version of what things could have turned out if they had picked another person instead of Steve to take the serum. He's a commentary on our military, how the military treat PTSD. There's so much involved in that character, and overall, and deep down, he's not actually a bad guy. And you see those layers to that character. John Walker has layers. For a good while there, since Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the first Disney Plus MCU thing out of the gate, well, second after WandaVision, for a good long while there, he was the most hated fucking character in the world. You guys forgot hashtag not my Captain America. That shit. That was crazy. Because that's how great of a job he was doing as John Walker. I loved his performance. I can't wait to see him back in the Thunderbolts. Actually, a lot of these characters are going to be in the Thunderbolt movie. But that was spectacular. I loved his performance. His performance was top fucking notch. So John Walker is my number 4. At number 3, we're going to have Yelena Belova. Yelena is a great, played by my wife. She doesn't know we're married, but, you know, don't tell her about it. Florence Pugh. I'm joking, but I love Florence Pugh. I love her as an actress. I've loved her forever. So when I heard she was announced to be Yelena in Black Widow, I was excited. And they didn't disappoint. Scarlett Johansson and her had amazing chemistry. And the things she's done since being in that, particularly her appearance in Hawkeye, was just fun. It was super duper fun. It was super duper interesting. I dug the fuck out of her appearance in Hawkeye. That character, and it's pretty much being said that, like, she's gonna be co-star leading the Thunderbolts movie with Sebastian Stan's Bucky Barnes, so they're gonna be like co-leaders of this team, of the Thunderbolts team. So I can't wait to see them play off of each other. I can't wait to see more of Yelena. She's just a fascinating character, and it makes me feel like the Black Widow mantle is in far good hands. It is in great hands with Yelena still around. Number 2, we gotta have number 2 and 1 to me can flip, but today I'm gonna say number 2 is Agatha Harkness. Agatha Harkness was obviously the first villain of the first MCU Disney Plus show, but she is arguably still the best villain. Agatha's arguably still the best villain they did because that character stood out so much. She was so entertaining. She was so fascinating. She was so interesting. So many theories around her. So much going on around her. She was so interesting, so fascinating, so talked about, so trending that she got her own show. Now, you're pretty fucking good when you get your own show. If you're so popular and you so doing your thing, you got your own fucking show. You are one of the best characters the MCU's introduced, played by the amazing Catherine Hahn. I love that actress. I've seen her in so many things. She is so good, and she plays Agatha to a T. There's this dark playfulness with her, this dark sense of humor, playing with the Wizard of Oz tropes of witches and whatnot. And I'm excited for Agatha Harkness, or whatever the fuck that show is going to be called. But I'm excited for it because I'm just curious of what they're going to do with it. So Agatha Harkness was definitely have to be number 2. But number 1 is Miss Marvel. That actress they cast was so picture perfect. Now they cast a couple picture perfect things. Another honorable mention for Kate Bishop. Love Kate Bishop. She just didn't make the cut for this because there were a few more very interesting characters. Kate Bishop, couple Echo, there's a couple characters that I thought were very well done, that were interesting, that just didn't make this cut. Obviously, Werewolf by Night, things like that. But Miss Marvel, to me, was by far the biggest slam dunk. I was worried about this casting. I was worried about this. Regardless of how some people feel about the show, the actress killed it. She killed it to the tune of one of the highest rated. It's one of the highest rated fucking comic book shows of all time. Now, I know there's a lot going on about Rotten Tomatoes paying shit, which I'm sure is true. I am sure it's true. But at the end of the day, if the paying thing doesn't really matter to me, because I'm like, well, if everyone was doing it, then no movie would look bad. So who gives a shit? Like, you know what I mean? If everyone was paying for it, then BVS would have like a 98%. You think Warner Brothers would have let that look that bad? No. So that's why the whole paying for it thing that it's trending right now, I don't give a fuck. To me, that means something. The Miss Marvel is the highest rated fucking superhero show of all time. And there's a reason behind that. And that's not just the actual score, that's the audience scores. There's multiple layers to it. Because the main actress was so fucking delightful. She was so cool. She was so down to earth. She felt real. She felt like someone we would have hung out with. If Miss Marvel existed in our world, hell, she's a YouTuber for crying out loud. Like, she's a YouTuber, she's a geek, she goes to Comic-Cons. Ms. Marvel, that character, played by Milan Vellani, I can never say her first name, Iman Vellani, is just amazing. Especially the more you hear about the actress herself, the more you realize she's one of us. That character is amazing. Honestly, that character could easily replace the Spider-Man, fan in the MCU. So, Ms. Marvel is the best character, I believe, the best character they introduced in the last 2 phases. But anyways, comment below, who's your favorite character introduced in phase 4 and 5? What character do you go, even if you talk shit, even the people who got shit to say about Marvel, at least comment below. Tell the truth. There's a character that was introduced that you're like, that was freaking cool. I like that character. Comment below and let me know. Thank you guys for joining the Comic Movie Show. Please remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.